Previously on Master of Machines. We spent the evening routing the intercooler piping, where we used way too many couplers to make it all work. Make some aluminum pie cuts on the end of our turbo snout, and install a $25 blow-off valve to the intercooler piping. However, progress comes to a halt when we find that our crank signal is not getting to the ECM, causing a breakup issue at about 3,000 RPMs. So I head to the forums to try to find some help. Greetings folks, it's your boy Steve here. This week we're working on getting the car to run properly. Last week we figured out that we have a problem establishing sync between the engine crankshaft position sensor and the megasquirt. So the way that the megasquirt knows how to control timing, when to make the spark happen, when to open the injectors, is through the crankshaft position signal. That's how the ECM knows the car's running. If you don't have a clear signal or sync between the sensor and the module, you're going to lose spark and fuel control. So the car just will not run that way. So what is happening to the Lexus is at about 3,000 RPMs, we begin to lose sync, and it comes and goes. It doesn't just totally disappear, but there is some sort of issue between the sensor and the module, and something is not getting along. So let us first just try to understand how a crank sensor works and what it actually does. So in just about any sort of crank sensor setup, we're going to have a toothed wheel and a sensor, which is basically just a magnet. As the tooth passes by the tip of the sensor and that metal acts upon that magnetic field, it creates a voltage. It's a very small voltage, and naturally it's going to be an alternating current voltage. So it is the ECM's job to interpret that signal to determine engine position. So shown here is a variable reluctance sensor, just like we have in the 2JZ. So what we're looking for is every time a tooth passes the tip of the sensor, we're going to see a signal, and in most situations there is going to be a tooth that's missing from the wheel. And it's that missing tooth that allows the ECM to know engine position. So the voltage visually would look something like this. This would be alternating current. We would expect to see everything evenly spaced until it gets to the missing tooth, and then it would have a different looking shape to the waveform. Now the ECM can't actually interpret this type of voltage pattern. It doesn't know what to do with an alternating current like that. So it has to have some sort of conditioner internal to the module that's going to make it a much more simple wave. And this is what that wave would look like. This is what the ECM needs to manage. It needs to see something on off. It can't see a swooping voltage. It needs to be on off. 0 to 5 volts is typically how it's done. But on a VR sensor, we're not going to get that. We're going to get an alternating voltage. This is what the 2JZ has. Another type of sensor is going to be a Hall effect sensor, in which we still have a toothed wheel, we still have a magnetic sensor. The only difference is the sensor itself is going to create the square wave that looks like this. So the only difference is in a VR sensor, we need the ECM to be able to translate this type of wave into an understandable figure. And in a Hall sensor, it's going to come out of the sensor looking like that. So one of our jobs that we have to achieve in order to help the experts on the forum help us get through this is we need to make sure that our crank sensor is working properly. And the way we're going to do that is with a lab scope or an oscilloscope. And that's going to be able to show us what that waveform looks like, so we can look for any kind of abnormalities. And really what we're looking for is some kind of like sharp spike or something that's just not consistent. That's not consistently with the shape of all the waves. So if you have one wave that does like a weird glitch or any kind of, or something that just like shoots straight to ground, we really don't want to see anything that erratic. It should be pretty smooth. So I did get this image with the oscilloscope that I have at work from the 2J while the engine was running. And this is a normal looking wave. Everything looks pretty good here, but I was able to submit these screenshots to my expert over at megasquirt. I was able to submit these to him and confirm that they are normal. So now we can start to look at the module and try to get an idea of what it's seeing. To do that, what we're going to do is we're going to get a toothed wheel log from Tuner Studio. Now this is something that anyone can do with Tuner Studio and a megasquirt from the laptop. No specialty tools required. We can actually ask the control module to show us what it's seeing signal-wise. And the trained eye can look at these signals and get a good idea of what's going on and why the module may be losing sync. After submitting the logs, it was suggested to us to install a shunt resistor between the two crankshaft circuits in order to lower the voltage at higher RPMs going into the module. All right, so Saturday morning, and I just installed the 10,000 ohm resistor between the two wires coming off the crank signal to go to the megasquirt. This is what was suggested that we try, so I need to go inside and get to work here in a minute, but real quick, I just wanted to try this. So let's see if it acts any differently. Oh, we're still kicking back. No, same thing. Same thing with the 10,000 ohm resistor. Damn, that sucks. Well, back to the drawing board. All right, so me and Matt are at the shop now trying to sort out the crank sensor signal issues, and I went ahead and just kind of dismantled some of my wiring and put it back together because it was kind of a mess. So I just wanted to tidy it up a little bit. Believe it or not, this is tidied. So
it'll look better when we're done.
So right now, what we have is the green or the yellow wire right here, and then the green wire right here are the signals that go to the megasquirt. And right now, these are the crank signals. Yellow wire is VR positive, and the green one's VR negative. And we have them bridged together here. Right now, this is a 330 ohm resistor. So some applications you don't have to bridge them together at all. It says in the manual that you may have to bridge them together with a 10,000 ohm resistor in some builds. And the reason is because VRs just set off a really high voltage at times. So there's be a lot of voltage variation, and so you put the resistor in to kind of like calm down the high voltage. So
get a more flat signal, basically.
Yeah, it's just a cleaner signal. So I put a 10,000 into this morning, and it did not seem to make any difference at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and just skip the 1,000 and go straight to the 330 ohm, and basically it's just teed those two together, and we'll see if it makes any
start it up and see what happens.
Any difference at all. We'll probably know while it's cranking if it helped, if it starts kicking back.
Yeah, I heard it kick back.
No,
not happy.
Does not seem happy. Huh.
Okay.
So I'm gonna grab the laptop and look at some trigger logs. And
Well, I mean that means that something changed though. So I mean we're on to something for sure. Something is changing when we're adjusting the resistance between these two wires that go to the ECM. So
okay, well let's kind of keep fooling with it. I got 1,000 ohm resistor to try too.
Yeah, we might have to get a dial switch like that dude did and just see where it's happiest, and then we can get a resistor that's right around that resistance, you know, that ohmage.
Yeah, I think kind of the general rule of thumb is to go as low
as possible.
To make it run and then back off like to a slightly higher resistance than that. Yeah. So that the wave is just as big as we need it to do.
Yeah.
But,
we got some playing around to do. We're figuring things out. Yeah.
Matt got a reference for the wastegate.
Just got a little 90 put on the charge pipe here.
So this little nipple here is going to go back to the wastegates for our boost control, and then the next thing we need to do is I brought the bond for the intake temp sensor that we're going to put in this pipe here also. All right, so now we have the 1,000 ohm resistor in it. Let's try the 1,000. I don't have any other resistors, so here's hoping. Wow, we got a big improvement for sure. But still, I mean, it doesn't feel great. Sounds way better, but you can, if we look here, you can see the sync counter right here. It starts losing sync right at about 3,000 RPMs. It seems like the 1,000 ohm a lot more than anything we've done so far, so that's improvement. All right, so now I have a 1,000 ohm and a 330 ohm end to end, so 1,300 ohms. Let's try this. 1,300 ohms, here we go. 1300 ohms. Okay then. 330 ohm resistors. Judging by the way it ran half decent at 1,000, I'm kind of expecting it to run pretty good right now too. But slightly less resistance than 1,000. Here we go. Oh, it didn't kick back that time. Oh, there it goes. Yeah. Alright, does this reset when I... Okay, yeah, it's still... Yeah, it's still losing sync real bad. So I think... so 1,300 is no good. 990 is no good. 1,000's no good. If I put a fourth 330 in there, how many is that? That would just be a little bit less than the 1,300. Damn, man. God, this feels impossible.
Oh shit. Oh shit. What's going on?
Sadly, we were not able to recover the footage of the engine starting to run properly and make some high revs, as well as our resulting celebration. The issue the whole time was a ground circuit for the camshaft position sensor interfering with the crank signal. And the fix this whole time was simply disconnecting the camshaft position sensor, which we're not even using anyway. All right, baby, you heard it there. She's running just like she's supposed to. So now I'm just going to weld that IAT bung on the intercooler piping so we can get the intercooler piping back together.
We've already got our boost reference.
I need you to run a hose from that reference you put in to the wastegate, and we're going to the bottom port on the wastegate. Okay. So there's two ports. The one closest to the exhaust pipe. For the love of God, don't get it backwards, because that would be infinite boost.
I know. Do you have
and then we get to drive the car, and I'm pretty sure the trans is going to work too. But I don't really remember where.
It's gonna work great.
I don't really remember where we were at with that one.
It's gonna work fine.
But yeah, dude, I'm so pumped. I had wired in so many resistors, so much crap, and the whole time the problem was the shared ground circuit.
You said
with the cam and the crankshaft. If you go to the top of the gate, then the wastegate will never open, no matter what.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
I mean, maybe one day, but not today.
One day.
Yes, dude. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I hope the trans works okay.
Trans is gonna work fine.
All right, time to weld up a bung, and then let's freaking drive, baby! All right, so we got the intake temp sensor bung welded up and installed. So that turned out okay. We have boost reference to the wastegate. We are about to take it on its maiden test drive, fully under megasquirt control, with all the sensors working and everything working like it should. What I'm hoping to get out of this test drive is feel it shift and feel it start to go into a little bit of boost.
A little bit of boost.
So I'm not expecting a lot of boost. I don't know if I want a lot of boost right now.
Any boost at all would just be a good peace of mind.
Yeah,
you know?
honestly, just to feel it like go through gears, and then we know, okay, we can start tuning.
Sure.
And the rest is just tidying up. Just
baby.
like really just tidying it. Everything is such a mess in the whole car. But when we're done with it, it's gonna look okay, and it's gonna run real nice. So let's see what it'll do right now. Reverse, good. Sorry about the cable. This is for our wideband. I got the wideband just up here by the mirror for right now. And that's just how it's gonna be for now. Let's go ahead and start a log. First COVID IS drive. All our sensors seem to be working okay. Real moderate timing on it. I'm gonna go ahead and turn on over boost protection. I'm setting boost cut to 10 PSI.
Okay, cool.
For now. We'll
Yeah.
I just felt it shift in a second.
Yep.
I'm not sure what it's doing yet. Seems like it's taking a lot of throttle to get the tranny to move.
Definitely doesn't feel like it wants to shift.
Alright, let me just put it into manual gears.
Yeah, just swing around here and let's go back through the parking lot.
I smell things.
Tranny doesn't feel happy.
No, it's not. It's not.
We're staying synced.
Yeah, the tranny's not happy. It's probably the throttle position sensor being on the megasquirt.
Yeah.
I bet it's got a code for that. So we might just need to try.
Swapping the signal over from
Yeah, I mean, we won't be able to do a lot of. It really relies on the throttle position sensor more for tip in, like just getting on the throttle for fuel calculation. Honestly, once you're tipped in, it's going off manifold pressure for most fuel calculations. So.
But we just need that there to get off the jump.
Yeah. I don't think the megasquirt will miss it temporarily, but if we need to, we can wire in a sensor to both.
Yeah.
Well, let's try doing that and see if the transmission acts a little more happy. Never went into boost?
Nah, I never went to boost. Nah, it's like -2 as long.
Yeah, it's not going into low. There we go.
Oh, I got real close. It went to 0.2.
Why'd it start popping though?
I don't know.
Okay, well, it's moving. It's going through gears.
News, yeah.
It's going through gears decent. I wouldn't say good, but
It's moving. Felt to get out of
I can't
third.
say for sure that it's ever started at first.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, that's probably first. Let's take it for a little drive down the highway, or just like in front of these parking lots.
Okay.
Just kind of want to see how it's going to act.
Doesn't feel good that it's going up to 4,000 RPMs
Yeah.
in the parking lot.
This thing pops like crazy. Was that AFR go real lean or what?
Yeah, it went lean.
Did it lose
went
any-
5,500 too.
Did it lose sync?
No.
Still no sync loss?
Nope.
Boy, this thing pops. When it pops, dude,
It's
like-
fucking loud. It's
Woo!
scary sounding now.
gunshots, dude. Pop, 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 pop. Okay, well, I got some data logs to work with.
Got some things going.
Kill that data log. Oh, we're going to lean just sitting here. Coolant temp's a little high, but not bad. 0 lost sync, dude.
Yeah.
Baby, yeah. All right.
That's a problem solved. That's a big problem
I
solved.
sure wish I could just stand up on the converter. You can hear it slowing up. Okay, so we got pretty much what we wanted to done tonight. We got the IAT sensor on. We have our wastegate is plumbed via boost reference coming out of the end of the compressor there. And we fixed our loss of sync problem, it would seem.
No more
And-
breakup on the top end, which is good.
Yeah, well, it's getting up past 3,000. Still tough to say beyond that because we actually, during our test drive, it did break up a bit. Probably around like 5,500 or 5,000 or
Yeah.
something like that. It would just totally like, bah, bah, and it would start popping, like exploding out of the downpipe. Like crazy noises.
Yeah.
And it didn't lose sync while that was happening. So that tells me maybe the timing got crazy or I'm not really sure what.
But our big issue so far has been just syncing up the crank signal, and that, as far as we can tell, has been solved, which is awesome.
So taking the cam sensor out of the equation completely, just disconnecting it, totally relieved that problem. We don't even have a shunt resistor installed. That's what that resistor I was trying to connect those two circuits with is called a shunt resistor, and it is needed at times, but we don't even have it in the car now. Now that the cam sensor is disconnected, we're not losing sync. The transmission, it's moving the car.
It's moving the car, but
We feel it shift a little bit.
we feel that a lot of the issues may be coming from the TPS signal to the transmission, and tough decision time. If we put the Turbo 400 in it, then we can eliminate the stock throttle body altogether and have one TPS signal coming in.
And I found an adapter where you cut the bell housing off the Turbo 400 and bolt on the stock bell housing for this engine, for this transmission. So
Bolting, yeah,
Cheap.
170
Yeah.
bucks for the adapter. It's just an adapter plate.
Yeah.
And for the cheap, we could bolt the transmission, the Turbo 400, to this engine. However, we'd have to have a custom torque converter made. I think it uses the stock flywheel or flex plate.
Right.
And then we need to have a drive shaft made. And then we need to figure out a shifter. We're going to have to buy a shifter and get it installed and cable adjusted and all that.
Yeah.
So that's not a gimme for sure.
No,
it's
for sure.
Definitely not a no-brainer.
But I mean, with the issues we're having, that's something that's coming into play potentially at this point.
So that is definitely a card we have in our deck. We have the Turbo 400 just sitting around. It's supposed to go in the Z. But right now, the Z's Jacko is finding all the gears pretty nicely.
And I mean, worst case scenario, there's more than one Turbo 400 in the world for sale. So
That's true. We can get another Turbo 400.
we always could do another one for the Z if we
So,
need to. But
I don't know. There's a lot of talks of all this stuff going on right now. A lot of guys do stick shifts in these cars. You know, these cars were sold with manuals. If we could find one of them that's wrecked or whatever and just get all the parts out of it and get like the clutch pedal bracket and all that stuff, then I mean that's an option too. But
the thing is, we're solving some existing problems, but it's really just bringing up more questions at this point. Some more decisions to make.
Not really sure, but it moves. It does shift gears.
Which is great. I mean, this is the best it's been since we've done the motor swap.
Yeah, and I wonder if the stalled torque converter is causing a lot of issues too, with how the ECM's deciding when to shift gears.
It's just expecting to see
now the RPMs are a lot higher.
Yeah, exactly,
so like it thinks it's slipping now. It's like it sees the RPMs go up, but the input shaft speed doesn't go up. And so that could be causing a lot of these issues too. Maybe it's worth just trying to find like a cheap stock torque converter to throw in and just see how it acts then. And we won't be able to leave hard that way. So it's kind of beating a dead horse. But if it's cheap enough, it might be worth trying.
Yeah.
Because we can get this tranny out in less than an hour.
Well, we got some things to talk about for sure.
Yeah. So right now, what I need to do moving forward, before we can really do any tuning, we need a TPS that will input to the megasquirt. So in order for the transmission...
That's reliable. Too.
The way we got the transmission to work even half decent was to put the TPS on the stock throttle body that we have just resting here. So the stock throttle body has the TPS, it has accelerator pedal position sensor right here, which is a weird place for it, but that's a whole nother story. And then the motor connector down here. And I'm finding that all three of those need to be plugged in, as well as crank signal for the transmission to work at all. So I need to find a pigtail for the TPS for our billet intake, the one we're actually using, that's going to be an input to the megasquirt. Then we can start tuning some stuff and see if we can figure more out. But as for right now, if we don't have all our sensor inputs, tuning is just going to be a loss. There's no way we're winning that. So, but that's going to do it for tonight, I think. Car's hotter than hell. We really couldn't do anything else with it if we wanted to. So we still have to kind of figure out the cooling fan situation. We have one fan working that isn't keeping up.
But we're making progress, and that is really a step at this point, because we were kind of at a deadhead coming into tonight. So
dude, I know
things are happening. We're getting there.
Thinking we were not going to get it resolved tonight, but we did. We held out. We got
resolved what we needed to get resolved, and now it's just the next step in the process.
Yep. So thanks for bearing with us as usual. Go ahead and tune in next week, and hopefully we'll be getting a bunch more done. And we're not far from making passes with this thing. So just bear with us. We're all going to learn a little bit, and we'll see you next week.